Κυρίες και κύριοι, το ενδιαφέρον των επενδυτών είναι στραμμένο τόσο στην πρόοδο της ελληνικής οικονομίας, στην πρόοδο του μνημονίου που έχουμε υπογράψει με τους δανειστές μας, όσο και στο ευρύτερο οικονομικό περιβάλλον. Και αναφερόμαστε φυσικά στην πορεία τόσο της αμερικανικής οικονομίας, η οποία επηρεάζει και την ευρωπαϊκή, καθώς ειδικά τις ατμομηχανές ευρωζώνης που είναι κατεξοχήν εξαγωγικές οικονομίες. Θα συζητήσουμε σήμερα λοιπόν στο Capital TV, θα συνδεθούμε με τον κύριο Τζιμ Ρότζερς, τον γνωστό δισεκατομμυρίουχο μεγαλοεπενδυτή. Hello, Mr. Rogers, thank you for being with us on Capital TV.
I am delighted to be here, Nikarios.
And let's start talking about Greek economy, because there is a very big discussion about Greek economy. What's your perspective? What's your point of view for Greek economy with all this debt crisis and the memorandum that Greek government have signed with IMF and European Central Bank?
Well, the Greeks have been spending huge amounts of money that they didn't have for at least 10 or 15 or 20 years now, and now it's time to pay up or shut up. You've run out of money, and I think you've probably run out of credit. I would not lend you any more money, so somebody's got to drastically cut spending in Greece in order for Greece to become a competitive economy again. It's going to be painful. It's not going to be fun. But look, for the last 10 or 20 years, you had a lot of fun. Now you have to pay the price.
You think that all this austerity program is likely to be effective?
Well, from what I've seen so far, it's not enough. There's not enough austerity. There's a lot of talk, and there is some cutbacks, but Greece still has staggering amounts of debt. The debt has to go down. Just saying the debt's going to go up at a slower rate doesn't solve the problem. The debt's got to go down, and the debt has to go down dramatically, and that's going to cause a lot of pain. But you'll either take the pain now, or the pain's going to be worse in 5 years or 10 years or next time around.
So you're not positive in buying Greek bonds?
No, not with my money. No, thank you. Thank you. You can call the European Central Bank. Maybe they will buy your bonds, but not me.
What is the percentage of possibilities that you are giving to Greek economies defaulting?
Well, I don't have a percentage possibility. I don't think in those terms. I suspect it is probably going to be a default one way or the other sometime in the next 5 or 10 years. Not just Greece, by the way. There are many other countries. The UK, the US, many countries have been spending a lot of money that they don't have, and the situation is getting worse, not better.
So you think that Fed's policy should be changed?
Yes. Again, people who spend money they don't have eventually have to pay the price. I mean, you can go back for the past 5,000 years and look it up. Any country that gets itself into this situation is going to suffer and pay the price one way or the other. You can default by printing money. You can default by defaulting. I would suggest that you think about looking to Asia, because in Asia, there are many creditor nations. If you look to the West, there are many debtor nations. The US, the UK, you know who they are as well as I do.
So I watched an interview of yours at CNBC where you suggest that European people should be in head of Fed. You are for austerities programs rather than printing money.
Well, the American Central Bank and the American government is printing huge amounts of money, spending money they don't have, and they have no intention of stopping doing that. At least in Europe, they're talking about stopping it. They're talking about doing something else. They're talking about cutting back. And they are cutting back to some extent. So I had rather be in an area like that rather than in the U.S. where things continue to get worse.
All this situation, because you're describing a situation that is getting worse, in which term will affect more the banking system?
Well, we're having problems now. I mean, look around you. Look at the stock markets. Look at the currency markets around the world. Most people are having problems in the investment in the financial community. That's going to continue. We're going to have more currency turmoil. We're going to have more debt turmoil. We're going to have more turmoil in markets. The problems are not behind us. Every once in a while, we paper the problems over. We think we push the problems out into the future for a while, but the problems are still here. When you say when, next month, last month, I mean, the problems are here. They haven't gone away.
So, talking about currency, do you think that euro will keep on rising towards dollar?
Well, I own some euros. I bought them back in early June. I also own the dollar right now, today, if we're speaking here at the early beginning of September, or almost beginning of September. Most people are pessimistic about the dollar, so I would think the dollar would probably go up for a while against the euro. But I own both of them. We're going to have a lot more turmoil. If you're a good trader, and I am not, I am a terrible, terrible market timer, a terrible trader. But if you're good at it, there are going to be some spectacular moves up and down in many currencies around the world.
So, what is the best investment mixture during this period in an investor's portfolio?
Well, I own commodities, real assets, because if the world economy gets better, commodities are going to do well because there's shortages developing. If the world economy does not get better, then commodities will still be a good place to be, because at that point, governments will print more money. And throughout history, when governments have printed a lot of money, the best place to be is real assets, whether it's silver or rice or natural gas, whatever it happens to be. So either way, I'd rather own commodities than stocks going into 2011.
You don't think there is a bubble in commodities and commodity prices?
What bubble? I mean, commodities are very depressed. Sugar is 70% below its all-time high. That's a bubble? I mean, cotton is 50% below its all-time high. That's a bubble. Silver is 70% below its all-time high. These are very strange bubbles. If you're saying that things that are 60 and 70 and 80% below their highs are bubbles.
Which do you believe are the factors that will determine the recovery of U.S. or the global economy?
Well, right now, you have governments still spending a lot of money that they don't have. And the people who receive that money think that things are better off. And they are. I mean, if I give you $100 million, you think things are better off, and you're better off. But remember, the overall economy is not better off because the U.S. and other countries are going deeper and deeper and deeper into debt. So the world situation is not getting better. It's continuing to get worse. If you happen to be on the receiving end of a lot of that money which governments are spending, you're better off. But the rest of us are getting worse, and the situation is getting worse overall. If you don't want to invest in commodities, I would urge you to think about Asia, because in Asia, at least the nations are creditor nations. In Europe, in the West, nations are huge debtor nations. In Asia, they're huge creditor nations.
So don't you think that economies like the Chinese or Indian economy will support this effort to recovery?
No. The Chinese economy, which has been doing very well, but the European and American economies, Nikarios, are 10 times bigger than the Chinese economy. 10 times bigger. And the Indian economy is only a third or a quarter the size of the Chinese economy. So even if India and China boom, it's nothing in comparison to the size of the European and U.S. economies. No. There are going to be many more problems going forward. We cannot be saved by China, even though China is doing a better job than most other countries.
Thank you, Mr. Rotζερς. Thank you for being with us on Capital TV.
Thank you, Nikarios. It's my pleasure.